Good morning, all. I would like to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone this morning. Welcome to all members of council that are in attendance this morning. Also, welcome to all of our staff that will provide us facts and information so we can make decisions in the best interest of the Corporation of ACW and all of our full-time and seasonal residents. Also, welcome to all members of the public that are joining us this morning and to the media who may be in attendance. I would like to indicate that meetings of council are live streamed on the Township's official website in accordance with the live streaming and virtual participation of meetings policy. Do any members of council have a pecuniary interest to indicate at this time of any agenda item that we have this morning? None, I thank you. We do have minutes from the 16th of September, and I would entertain a mover and a seconder for the approval of these minutes, and that is Councillor Miltonberg and Hickey. That Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council hereby adopts the September 16th, 2025 council meeting minutes as written. Do we have any questions on these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? And that is carried. Thank you. Open forum is an opportunity for any members of the public to make any comments that they would care to regarding any agenda item that we have before us today. If you would like to make any comments, please go to the microphone, indicate your first and last name and the agenda item that you would like to address.
My name is John Brinley. I'm a resident of ACW. I'd like to speak about 9.1. I do not believe that this should go forward. It is a fairly heavy cost to the taxpayers, and I do not see this working. As a person that lives in ACW, we strive to stay in our boundaries, and there's a reason why people have severe stakes and property lines. And the issue we have at hand is that we've had a major fire, and we still need to wait on cleanup with the courts. So as soon as that happens, then we'll be able to clean up, and then this mess that has brought all this on will hopefully go away. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to make any comments at this time, please?
Good morning. Christine Mitchell. I'm a full-time resident in ACW, and I would like to speak to 9.1. My reason for coming this morning is just to support and commend council on the recommendation of having a public consultation process to propose towards reviewing and the proposed possible changes to the property standards bylaw. I think it's really important that we make effective and successful decisions, and it's crucial that all of us are well educated on the topic and not base decisions on any speculation, rather than we should be basing it on sound judgment. We agree that this will provide, having this open forum will provide a positive, necessary context. It allows everybody to have an opportunity to have more knowledge and due diligence about the properly evaluated choices that need to be made and understand potential consequences. I believe that this process that I commend you on looking at today empowers the council and our community to move past any guesswork and make choices that are both rational and well considered. Being educated on the Farm and Food Production Protection Act allows decision makers to make better understanding the potential risks and the benefits to our community, and consider both the short-term and the long-term consequences of this amazing place that we all live in. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make any comments at this time? And if not, I thank you very much for that. It is a privilege to welcome Don McLeod to present to us this morning as a delegation that we have requested on behalf of the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario. Recently, Don is the executive director, and we look forward to your presentation to us today. Thank you, Don. Welcome.
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor McNeil, and members of council and staff. Thank you for your patience in allowing me to present today. It's been a while. It took me a bit to get the presentation together, but I'm here today to give you information on TAPMO. Great. So I will just briefly touch on my presentation, then leave it open for questions that council may have after the presentation, if that's okay. So TAPMO is the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario. We currently represent 34 member municipalities, both upper and lower tier, spread across the province. Just to make it clear, TAPMO is not against aggregate production. What we are advocating for is fair taxation. We are making sure that the environment is protected and that local residents are receiving benefit from having aggregate operations within close proximity. We are looking to grow our membership, and that's one of the reasons that we're here today, so that we can better represent all the geographic regions across the province. Ontario's consumption of aggregate resources helps fuel our economic growth. The demand has been fairly flat over the last 15 years, but anticipation of a housing boom, we are anticipating that we will see the demand increase over the next 10 to 15 years. So we are presenting policies to the province to make sure that local municipalities are going to be ready to meet this increase in demand. One of our wins to date was having the industry pay its fair share of property tax. Any municipalities that do have gravel pits would have seen an increase in their taxation on aggregate operations, and that was as a result of lobbying from TAPMO and also Wellington County and Puslinch Township. So we did have that one good win. Even though there are appeals ongoing, we have been successful to this point in time. One thing we're also advocating is greater collaboration with the Ministry of Natural Resources and also our aggregate partners. We have developed really good dialogue with the Ministry of Natural Resources, both at the political level and also at the staff level. I have meetings quarterly with the Assistant Deputy Minister, and we have developed a very good rapport. We meet with them twice yearly at AMO and Roma, and we have made delegations for the last 4 years, and we've been successful in those delegations. So the fair aggregate levy I've already touched upon. The extractive licensing. So one of the issues that we deal with on a daily basis is fielding calls from local municipalities that may not be as sophisticated in dealing with aggregate operations. What we are doing now is preparing databases, we're information sharing with our member municipalities, and helping those smaller municipalities that are having issues with licensing and new pit applications. There has been a change most recently with some policies at the town of Milton with some of their policies, and we are preparing those for distribution for our member municipalities. So that's one of our key moving forward points, is to make sure that we are sharing information across our membership. Our advocacy, as I've mentioned before, we are holding regular meetings. Our director and the chair meet regularly with the minister, and he has developed a very good rapport with Minister Harris. So that is something that's been a benefit for our membership over the past year. So some of the data from ACW. Right now, ACW is the 27th highest producing municipality in Ontario, with approximately 1.7 million metric tons of material. As a point of reference, last year, Ontario produced 168 million tons of aggregate. Huron County itself produces 3.8 million metric tons and was the 12th highest producing upper tier. So it's not inconsequential, the amount of aggregate being produced in ACW and also in Huron County. During my drive up today from London, I did see a fair number of gravel trucks on the road, so it is indicative of an increase in production in this area. I previously worked at Zora Township, which was the 6th highest producing municipality in the province, so I do have good experience dealing with some of these issues that you're now facing: truck traffic, dust, noise, water impact. So I've been able to leverage that experience with TAPMO, and it is something that we are, again, working on developing policies and best practices for our member municipalities. That's just a chart of showing where ACW is province-wide of the top 69 producing municipalities in the province. So as I said, I'll leave the presentation very brief, and I would now open it up for questions from members of council and staff.
Okay, thank you very much, Don, for that presentation. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? And I'll go first to Councillor Snowden, please.
Thank you very much, and Mr. McLeod, I appreciate you coming in. The request for you to come in and talk to us about this came from a resident that made a presentation a number of months ago, and I'm glad to see that we finally were able to iron out the kinks that got you here today. So you talked about the taxation part of this, and you mentioned that you've advocated for municipalities towards being able to increase taxation on aggregate extraction. Would you elaborate on that a little bit, if you could, and also talk about what percentage maybe of increased taxation and how that affects municipalities, perhaps?
Certainly. So this started back with assessment appeals launched by Wellington County, and I believe there was 8 other municipalities that made assessment appeals. That then went to the Assessment Review Board. We were successful there. It was challenged at divisional court. We were successful there. And it then went to the appeals court, and we were successful there. So at that point, the industry stopped fighting us and just realized that, you know, what we had advocated for was fair and just. The way that MPAC was assessing gravel pits was not entirely fair. We asked them to reconsider some of the production areas, some of the buffer strips, to include more of that in the actual assessment. So that's what caused the increase in assessment and the subsequent increase in taxation. In Zora's case, I believe it was an increase of about $420,000 in additional tax revenue, just the municipal portion. So it was a big win for the larger gravel producing municipalities.
Well, was that recent, or was that in the last, say, 5 to 10 years, or more recent than that?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yes. I had nothing to do with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Miltenberg, please. Oh, and Councillor Miltenberg, and then Deputy Mayor Vanstone, please. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. A couple things. I'll try to keep it to a couple things. First of all, I think this is a good idea. I wasn't actually scrolling on my phone. I was looking up the Auditor General's Aggregate Resources Report, which is in 2023, and this is from our own Auditor General in Ontario, which says that the MNR and the forestry has ineffective systems for managing aggregate resources, leading to poor oversight, inadequate enforcement of the Aggregate Resources Act, and significant compliance issues. And I actually spoke to the minister about this. This is quite an extensive report. But what it found was that the aggregate industry for decades has been poorly policed and poorly self-regulated. There's new regulations that have come in. And the report also says they are woefully understaffed to check that these things are being done. And in speaking with the province, their focus is more homes faster. They need the gravel, and as has been said in this chamber many times, the gravel is where the gravel is. And I agree with many local residents that there is an impact, and we need to recognize the impact in the existing people that are here, even though that aggregates are on private land, the buffer zone is impacted. And I know when we did the K2 wind project, not only do they pay community benefits, but anybody within 1 kilometer of a wind turbine receives personally $1,500. So I'm not saying that's what this should happen, but there has to be a recognition that large industrial operations do affect the neighbors. So my question is not whether this is a good idea, because I think it is. My question is, what would it cost, and what are our benefits from that?
So I worked out an approximate cost. So it would be about $3,500 a year, and from that, we're a fairly recent organization, so we are developing our database and our best practices. We are in the midst of preparing a quarterly newsletter. We advocate at Roma and Good Roads, so we are virtually a municipal lobby group on behalf of our member municipalities. We would be open for information sharing and policy sharing. So if there are issues with site plans that your staff are having, they could call us and we could source out any relevant information that may assist your staff in dealing with some of these issues. We're not a site-by-site advocacy organization, so if you call us to say we need help fighting this pit, that's not in our purview. We are there to provide you information and guidance and hopefully point you in the right direction where you can get some of these resources that we cannot provide.
Thank you. Please follow up.
A further question and a comment. So with that $3,500, that is based on our production.
That is correct.
So then it would change from year to year?
It could, depending on the production statistics that are provided to TORC.
And so at this point, you yearly analysis of what the cost would be, or would it be a 3-year projection, much like a hydro bill? They don't want to come out and do it every year, or?
No, it's based on the production statistics from the previous year. So right now, they've just released the interim 2024. So that's what we would use for the 26 invoice.
Okay. So my comment on this is that we have a lot of residents who feel powerless and helpless with aggregate. Our municipality is unable to help them at a local level. We've tried, we've gone further up, and there are no listening ears for our individual municipality. And maybe they think it's not in my backyard, but I don't feel that. I think it's a system-wide and it's a province-wide problem, and I would be happy to support this. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just one
Yes,
follow-up to Councilor Wilberg. So one of the things that we are doing is working through the AG's report bit by bit. So we have been meeting with them on the recommendations. One of the issues that has been addressed, not fully to our satisfaction, is the appointment of, I believe it's 110 additional inspectors province-wide. So they are in the midst of rolling those new inspectors out. We've asked them where they've been prioritized. Around the GTA, just in the GTA exterior where there is some larger operations is where they're concentrating at this point. Then those will be, the additional staff will be rolled out province-wide. So I believe you are in the West region and they haven't seen the full impact yet of those additional staff.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes, please.
Just to follow up with that, thank you. And I think that's another reason why we need to look to a different direction, because the trickle-down effect does not work very well for our municipality, because we are about as far down as you can get in a trickle-down economy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Deputy Mayor, please.
Yeah, my question was exactly what you just answered, as to how many more people, because like right now we've only got 4 people inspecting all of almost southwestern Ontario, and it's just not enough. So they are promising more, and you guys are lobbying for more?
Yes, so they have hired 110, I believe it was, inspectors. They're just not fully deployed in the field yet because they have to go through training. We share the very same concern that, you know, from the AG's report, that was one of our key takeaways, was the lack of enforcement. And we see it here on a daily basis that pits are not inspected at all. I'm not saying that all operators falsify their reports, but we have seen inconsistencies from what's been filed to what's actually on the ground.
Okay, thank you. And so will you be lobbying then to get more, because like there seems to be lots of them around the cities, you know, close to the high population areas, but as Jennifer said, out here in the boonies, I guess they look at it, that we don't have them. And they, you know, I think they treat us as out of sight, out of mind sort of thing. So if your guys are lobbying for that, and anyways, I'm in full favor of doing this. I think we should at least try it for a couple of years. It's not that much money, and it would be an advantage to us all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any further questions or comments? Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Awesome report. I did the math on the yearly, and it's like 500,000 tons per day. Like, the gravel is where the gravel is. You can't change that. So when you inspect them, that's so they're not taking more than they should, or what is that all about?
The site plans indicate many things. So setbacks from neighboring residences, making sure that they're producing only within their approved hours, making sure that fencing berms are maintained properly. Those are all the things that are filed on the annual compliance assessment report, the CAR reports. Those are self-filed, and inspectors are to review those but with only 4 staff in the West Region, it's very difficult for them to go through all those reports. They do audit them periodically, but not as often as we would like to see to make sure that they're actually doing what they say they're doing.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor Hickey, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Clarification, I think, to start, then maybe a question. Early in your report or your presentation, you said something about the demand was kind of low and you expect it to climb.
Demand has been static.
Static over
Yes.
the past few years, we expect it to climb. But if you hear the reports in the news, you hear construction is slowing down in the city because of cost, jobs, price, whatever it is. So that's kind of going against what you're hearing in the media, isn't it?
We're anticipating that another 1-year lag in construction. There's been a recent rate reduction. We've heard one more rate reduction and things will start to boom again. So that's just our take on what is going on in the field right now. And my talks with developers that we deal with is that we anticipate a boom coming again.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Okay, CAO, please.
I would suggest if council is interested in pursuing this further, that Mr. McLeod provide an official quote of the 3,500 because it wasn't in your presentation.
Right.
And perhaps we could bring that forward to the next meeting along with this presentation, and council has some time to think about it after the presentation and pass a resolution at that meeting if they're interested, effective the 2026 year, and include that in the budget.
I think that'd be very appropriate if you would.
I can provide a firm estimate to you, Dan. Thank you.
Yes, that'd be great. And so I'm going to ask a show of hands if, from council, if we are in support of the concept that our CAO just outlined, to get it in print, and then we could consider it at a future meeting if we're in support of this. And that is supported by council. Thank you very much for your presentation to us this morning.
Great. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present today, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have nothing under Treasury this morning. Under Planning, it is the 7-1, the consideration of the removal of the holding symbol on file HO1-25, and it should read Salford Estates, not Salford Heights, Salford Estates. And that has been provided to us in a report by our planner, Megan Tid-Hernick, who is in attendance this morning. Does council have any questions on this? And if not, I'll ask for a show of hands if we're in support of consideration of this in Section 18 as a bylaw. And that is supported by council. Thank you. 8-1, we have been in receipt of the Chief Building Official's report. Do we have any questions or comments on this of our CBO? It is for information purposes. Thank you very much, Joy, for this and the work that you do. Under Administration, 9-1 is the Property Standards Proposed Consultation Process. That has been provided as requested by council, by our staff, and it is for consideration of proceeding to further explore the property standard exemptions that are currently in place. Do we have any questions or comments from council on this? And I'll go first to Councillor Snowden, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you to staff for presenting this. I think it is a move in the right direction. And in principle, I do support this. However, I do have a few concerns on the suggested membership on this ad hoc committee. And to quote the report, it says include 2 members of council and 3 to 4 citizen representatives, ensuring a balance of agriculture and non-agriculture perspectives. I'm concerned that 2 members of council wouldn't be quite enough, similar to the short-term rental ad hoc committee that we had formed about a year ago. I think that we had some massaging of the membership on that from staff's suggestion. And I know that we have 3 members on the short-term rental as well as the mayor as ex officio. I would be looking at something more equal in representation in terms of community members and council members. And also on the community members, I would like to see some more balance in terms of people that would be representing the agriculture sector and people that might be representing other sectors, whether it's lakeshore or subdivision or something on that line, so that we as a council can see that it's coming from a fair and balanced approach.
Okay, thank you for that. So if I could just, on that, so are you thinking maybe the similar 3 members of the council and the mayor ex officio, and how many members of the public were you're thinking of?
Well, similar to
Maybe
the
appropriate.
short-term rental, I would be in favor of 3 council members and ex officio, whether it's the mayor or deputy mayor, and perhaps probably 4 members of the community, 2 agriculture, and 2 from other sectors, or I'm open to anything other than what's proposed here. Put
Okay.
it that way. So I up for discussion, I guess, and I bring that forward so that it would spark conversation amongst council members.
Okay, that's good. That's perfect. Thank you very much for that. I just asked for that clarification. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, I'm mostly in agreement with Anita. Just again, a clarification, the mayor as the whatever that word is not required to come and is not part of the actual terms of reference. And I'm asking, is that correct?
No.
For-
So, in the procedural bylaw, the mayor can be ex officio to any committee.
Right.
However, if I get this right, they don't count in quorum, I believe it is. And I don't believe they don't get a vote. Or
Right.
they're, you know what? I really just want to check that.
Okay.
Because I'm confusing myself. So just bear with me a second and I'll look that up.
Yeah, because my question stems, because you said the mayor or the deputy mayor, and I wasn't sure if how that actually worked. I agree with you with the caveat. When we say 2 agriculture and 2 non-agriculture, without a doubt, the people most affected are agriculture. So I would not want to feel, particularly if we pick 3 members of council who are not agriculture, that they did not have an adequate representation, which the short-term rental is working spectacular. I'd love to echo that. Just that would be, I know people are affected who don't have agricultural properties, who have to put up with the mess next door, shall we say, but they're not as affected as the people who actually have to do all the work to maintain the property standards. And I wouldn't want that voice to be lost in the negotiations, but I think the way the short-term rental's set up, everybody seems to work pretty well together, and I would support this 100%. Basically, regardless of what my opinion is, it is a divisive topic. And I think if we choose not to do anything about it, the perception will be from the non-agriculture that we're just siding with agriculture. And I think if we decide to do something without talking to agriculture, the perception will be is that we're just not listening to them. I think we have to have the process so that everyone feels that they're heard, and whatever the decision is, all views are taken into account. And that's my comment.
Agreed to that. I'm going to defer to either our CEO or clerk for comment, please.
So, hearing those 2 comments, I would suggest we do the same route if we're moving forward with this proposal, that we do the same thing as we did with the short-term rentals. It was an application base, so you submit an application and council decide to make sure there is balance with the ag and the non-ag groups, and then that way it's fair. It's not just whoever comes first to the table. It's just it's an application base, and council make those determinations.
Okay, thank you for that. Clerk, please.
I'll just clarify, the procedural bylaw says that the presiding officer shall be an ex officio, a member of all committees. It is silent on the voting aspect, but Robert's Rules does have something on that. So I would, if council wants to proceed, when we do bring back a terms of reference, I will clarify the role of the ex officio. Okay?
Okay, good. Thank you. Did I see Councillor Snowblin's hand up? No? Okay, Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Hecky, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree, we should be doing something like this, but I think, I don't see any problem with having the whole council on there. Like, we're pretty well diverse, you know, we've got a couple people who live in the urban centers, and we've got a few farmers on here. And I think this is important to a lot of people, so, and I'm sure everybody on council will be getting information from, you know, people will be talking to them. So I honestly do believe that the whole council should be on this committee. It's only 6 versus 4. It's not that much more to have two more on it, so that is my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Hickey, please.
Thank you. I still hold the opinion that this issue was brought up by one area, one specific issue with one specific group, and I cannot justify the staff cost and staff time for a committee for an isolated incident like this when you look at the whole township. It's one dot on the whole township. So I'll be voting no for this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Snowden, please.
Well, Councillor Hickey's comments sparked a question that was different than my original question. Can I ask staff, I seem to recall that this came up years ago, did it not? I don't think that this is a new issue is what I'm getting at, but I could be wrong on that.
Thank you for the question. CO, please.
Yeah, this isn't the first time we've been at the rodeo. This is probably the third time in the last 24 years that we've revisited this same topic.
So if I may continue. So given that, I respect Councillor Hickey's opinion, but I feel that given what the CAO has given us on the background and history of this particular topic, it's about time that we do address it. And council has to sooner or later make a decision. And we did this on the short-term rental, and I think that that process has gone extremely well. And as Councillor Miltenberg suggested, that this is a divisive issue, I would rather like to see this viewed from the optics of not being divisive, but being collaborative. Because I think if we go into this with the idea that this is a divisive issue, I think that sets the stage for it to be a divisive issue. And I see it as the short-term rental. It could have gone as a divisive issue, but in the end, because of the people that applied and the council chose for that ad hoc committee, we have come out in a very collaborative form. So I do believe that we need to view this as a collaboration as opposed to them versus us. So I fully support this. I do take Deputy Mayor's comments into account as well, that perhaps it should be the whole council on this. I fear, though, that it could be viewed as a little weighted. So I think council members maybe should apply for this the same as community representatives, as opposed to being appointed. We should apply for it as well. So I'm fully in favor of it being a more balanced approach. And I see that with the viewpoint of it being collaborative, we can come out with an outcome that will be satisfactory for everybody.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Thanks. I'm going to address all three of the comments over there. And I agree and disagree with some of them. So Evan's comment about it was brought up by one area. I 100% agree with that. But that doesn't mean it's not an issue throughout. Many things are brought to council because one person thought of it or one group came, and then we look at it and say, oh, this is system-wide and we need to address it. So the fact that it was 100% sparked by one area doesn't mean it doesn't affect everyone. So that's my thought on that. Anita, I agree with your comments about it being collaboration. It is divisive right now when we're trying to make it stop being divisive, and that's why I think this is so important. So it's seen as a collaboration, but the comments I've heard is certainly divisive. And I think this is the only way to make everyone feel heard, and everyone should feel heard, and everyone's point is important. And we don't know them all. While I appreciate your comments, Bill, I'm on a lot of committees, and the more people you add, the less effective they get, and the longer the meetings are, and many people, you know, having been on the short-term rental committee, I think it's working so spectacularly. That is what I would be aiming for, and I 100% agree with you, Anita. If you're interested in being it on council, put your applications forward, and I don't know who makes that, if we make it in closed camera or our staff does it or whatever it is, but that I would prefer it to be smaller. I think it would be a far more effective group. And those are my comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. Any additional questions or comments? Councillor Forster, please.
Hey, thank you, Glenn. I kind of concur with Bill on this, because when the last meeting, like, wow, I had people coming at me left, right, and center. And on Evan's thoughts there, I disagree. There's a lot of eyesores out there that need to be taken care of. They're a danger, and I think we should be looking at this shortly and get it done. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any additional questions or comments? I guess I also agree that any member of council could apply to be on this, because it will come down to a council decision. And if any member of council feels strongly to be informed and a part of the process, I think they should have that opportunity. That would be my thoughts on that. So I'm going to ask, we need to provide some direction. I'm going to ask if council is in support of directing staff to come back with a draft terms of reference, citing our comments that we've made as far as the makeup of the committee that has been made by different members of council and that sort of thing. Councillor Snowblin, please.
Clarification, I'm not sure that it would be called just terms of reference. I view terms of reference as something a little bit different, but I agree in principle with your comments that perhaps a motion to direct staff to form the ad hoc committee with the comments of council in mind. I'm looking at the clerk. Maybe she can understand what I'm trying to say.
Thank you, Councillor Snowblin, for that. I'll defer to our clerk, please.
So working in the same lines as how the short-term rental committee was structured, council requested that, like, the scenario would be council direct staff that we want to proceed with this. A terms of reference would be brought back, which clearly outlines the mandate of the group, the membership of the group, all of those things. Council decides what that terms of reference is. So that's where you would kind of pick, okay, no, we want 3 members of council and 4 members of the community. It's going to be this long. It's going to be, we're going to be here for 4 months. They must have public consultation completed by April 2026, those kinds of details. Council agrees to that. At the same meeting, you agree to that, and then we would proceed to go and recruit for membership. When those membership applications are completed, at the next meeting, that's the same time we would go into closed, consider those membership names, and then after the closed session, we would announce who would be coming from the public, and then council will also appoint the council membership. That's how it was done for the short-term rental committee. So this way, council is the one who approves the terms of reference. We go ahead and we recruit, and then also a following meeting, then everybody's appointed, and then we start whenever it says that it's supposed to start.
Is that good with everyone for clarification? Councillor Miltenberg, please.
I agree with everything Florence says. I have a question for clarification. My understanding was, probably wrong, but once you have more than 3 members of council, it's a meeting of council, right? So if we put everybody on an ad hoc committee, is it not a meeting of council? We don't have any other ad hoc committees or committees that have more than 3 of us on it. So how does that work?
Council appoints the committee. It's an ad hoc committee. You could have all members of council on it if you wanted to. The committee is still considered a meeting. You have to have quorum. So it really is neither here nor there. If there's 4 members of council, it's still, you would have quorum, even if you didn't have 4 members of council on the committee. Okay?
Okay. Are we clear on this? So I'm going to ask for a show of hands if we're in support of directing our staff to move forward with this.
We're going to bring back, so you're requesting staff to bring back a terms of reference for consideration. So you're not agreeing to proceed with it, you're agreeing to look at a terms of reference if that's what you want to do.
The process. Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Staff's clear on this? Perfect. Thank you. 9.2 is the lot creation in Dungannon as far as next steps. We had an expression of interest for some lots, and as we see, it has been provided to us by staff with a possibility of proceeding, and I would suggest that we should declare this surplus because we do have a demand for housing, and it's important that all municipalities facilitate this as opposed to restricting it, and it be an open process. However, after saying that, I am going to open it up to council for any questions or comments that they would have on this report. Councillor Miltenberg first, please.
Yeah, I support the report. I support the report, and I don't know what I need to do to move it forward.
Yeah, we'll just have a discussion and we'll have a show of hands and then I'll come back for staff direction. Councillor Hickey, please.
I support the comments by you, Mr. Mayor, and Councillor Miltenberg, surplus and move forward. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? And I'm going to ask if council is in support of this, and we'll give that direction to our staff to move forward. Before I do that, clerk?
I was just going to clarify the process hereafter. So if you agree that you would like to declare it surplus, we will bring back a report with a formal motion to declare surplus, and it will lay out the steps in the process to go from there, okay?
Correct. We're all good with that? Okay, show of hands if we're in support of moving forward with this. And that is supported by council. Thank you. Staff's good with that? 9.3 is the bylaw enforcement report for September 25 for information purposes. Do we have any questions or comments on this? And if not, I would also like to include under 9.4, and that is the appointment of the winter students at our Lucknow Recreation Complex and one part-time operator. And that was missed on the agenda, and it would just be for consideration of this in section 18 as a bylaw, and I'll defer to our clerk, please.
Just to clarify, the bylaw is included. We missed putting the little blurb in there that says that the appointments are going to happen. So just a little oversight on my part.
No worries. So this is just an opportunity for council to ask any questions. So I'm going to ask if council is in support of this by show of hands for consideration in section 18 as a bylaw. And that is supported by council. Thank you. The Veolia water report under 10.1 is for information purposes. Do we have any questions or comments on this? And I'll go to Councillor Forrester and then Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. It says here in Century Heights, the 10th low pressure because of high water and lawn watering, like where the people not obeying the laws, like it's odd numbers one day and even numbers the other day, right?
Okay, I'll defer to, thanks for the question. I'll defer to our Public Works Superintendent, please.
So as we can all appreciate, it was pretty dry out this summer. There was some scofflaws over there, so we sent the bylaw officer out and he handed out some letters and explained to people the importance of following the rules, and it seemed to have improved afterwards.
Okay, communication, thanks for the question. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Well, before I go to my question, what's a scofflaw? Or whatever you just said.
Scofflaw is the gentleman that scoffs at the law.
Oh, I know a lot of them. Okay, thank you. My question is, under Ben Miller, it says, and I'm not sure, was there 2 water main breaks? Or it says second water main break, or is that second thing? Or are we concerned about the water main breaks in Ben Miller is my question.
Thanks for the question. Tom, please.
There were 2 issues, and it was the water main, and I believe this came up on my report for August. We had a main break, and then there was another problem. The pressure dropped, and then the chlorine sensor went off, so it's been repaired.
Okay, please continue.
Just to refresh my memory, is that system come through the Ben Miller Inn or not? Or is that, no, that's not the one that comes through Ben Miller.
Thanks for the question. Tom, please.
The location of the break was down along the bridge. There's a valve that was leaking, and when one repair was made, I believe another sprung up, and we addressed it.
Thank you.
Okay, you're good. Any further questions? Deputy Mayor, please.
Yes, how is the shouldering coming, Tom? Because I know the rain here now will show us where water's laying on the roads and whatnot, and I do know we've had a few complaints about the roads, so I was just wondering how that's coming.
Could we just hold that to the Public Works Activity Report under 12.1? We're dealing with Veolia. Okay. So any further questions or comments on the Veolia report? Seeing none, I thank you. That's for information purposes. We have nothing under drainage. We will now go to Public Works, and the Public Works Activity Report has been supplied to us. Deputy Mayor, question or comment, please.
Okay, just that same question, different area.
Okay, thank you. Tom, please.
Okay, we just finished off brushing, and I've got all the brushing mulched. We did start shouldering on Dungannon on that hill that we were talking about at the previous meeting. The guys have got back into grading, and we're focusing on knocking the shoulders off, as we've talked about. So I'm sure as we go on the road tour, we'll have an opportunity to look at it.
Okay, well, thank you. I just wanted to make sure it was still going on because you've got an awful pile of roads to go over, so I know it's going to be quite a job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
A great report, love the pictures, but of course they spark more questions in me. And this is just for my information, or probably anybody who's read the report. When you say brush stockpiled and mulched, can you explain to me what we do with our... I'm assuming we go along and cut down trees, and then we pick them up and throw them in a big pile and put stuff on top? Is that what we're talking about?
Thanks for the question. Tom, please.
So, so we've got two methods of getting rid of the brush. One is we rented out a quad saw that's attached to the side of a tractor, and it's going along and slicing whole branches off. And instead of individually picking up all of the branches, which would take forever to run through the chipper, we went with several tandems and the payloader and the backhoe and picked everything up all at once, took it over to the St. Augustine pit, and I had the tub grinder in to mulch it. We're going to also go back with a brushing head that's attached to an excavator, and we're going to go along after the leaves have gone off and pick up a lot of the other back roads and mulch them in place.
Okay, thank you for that. A follow-up, please.
Yeah, so a tub grinder is something you drag behind a tractor, and you're throwing some of that brush in it, and it makes mulch? That's the tub grinder there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a conveyor to me. But, okay, so that's the tub grinder, the picture.
Yeah, so everything
it.
comes out on the conveyor and goes into a pile.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Great. Councillor Hickey, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question for Tom on that. Then the mulch, is there a purpose for that mulch, or does it just sit there in the pit after it's been processed?
Thank you. Tom?
The mulch, I think, is going to end up over at the landfill and the brush pile. That was the most convenient spot to put it. The mulch generally gets, if anyone wants some mulch, we can arrange for some mulch to be picked up. I'll have more than I can possibly deal with. So we generally get rid of it one way or the other.
Okay. Thank you for that. Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Two questions. This shouldering thing, is that just that auger thing that's on the grader? And I noticed driving in, so it's the wall on this side of the Colburn shed that give out, or?
Okay, a couple questions there, Tom, please.
Yeah, there is a, it's like discs on
On the grader.
that
Okay,
you go along
right.
and you pull it back
Yeah,
in.
need it.
So it'd be a combination of pulling the gravel back in and straightening stuff back out with the grader, and the south wall of the sand shed failed at the sill plate, which was, if you go over and look at it, it's quite rotten and moldy, and it just pushed out. So we had to get the braces. I'm sure everyone can look at it. You can see it from the parking lot. We braced it. We're gonna have to pull the sand out the first week in November and then repair the wall from the inside. So the bracing, we did get approved by an engineer so that we can work safely inside the building. and it's currently safe to operate around, and it'll be repaired shortly.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Any additional questions or comments, Tom? Lots of activity. Great work. Thank you very much. Yes, please continue.
So we did get the auditors out from the Ministry of Natural Resources to the Inglis pit and the St. Augustine pit, and I've had people out to the other two pits, Little Lakes and Ashfield, in the past year. So I've had all of the township pits have been looked at. Just happened to be that Don was here, and they've put me through the ringer over the last 24 months. So they're doing their job. They're out there.
That's good information. Thank you very much for sharing that. Well done. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much, Tom, for that. 12.2 is the fall road tour discussion. One, I guess it would be, do we see merit? Do we want a fall tour? And the second part of that would be a date for that. Deputy Mayor Van Stone, please.
Is there anything, Tom, specific that you wanted to show us? Because personally, I don't think we need a fall tour unless there's something that we really need to see. And if there is, then by all means, let's do it. But if not, let's wait and do it in spring.
Okay. Tom, please.
I'd look at the direction of council on it. If there's a specific road or something that you'd like to see brought back, I can always bring it back into a staff report. We would look at the projects that were completed this year, and then if there were projects upcoming for the next year. So that'd be Loyal Line is supposed to be paid at the end of this week. Dungan is supposed to be paid. Huron Sands we had paid. The insulation is fairly complete up in Wawanosh. I'd look for direction on this.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'll defer to our CAO before I would make a comment, please.
We've always had fall road tours. The only time we have spring road tours is when we have a brand new council, we bring them on. But we always have them in the fall, and the reason we have them in the fall is so, as Tom pointed out, to take a look at some of the projects that were completed in 2025, for example, and also look at consideration for the 2026 budget that he has proposed. So we look at those things too. So then when we are talking about in the 2026 budget deliberations, it's kind of fresh in your mind. You can get a visual because as you can see, Tom's report has lots of questions when he puts the pictures in, and I know council loves pictures, and so I think it's a good idea to have in the fall. We always have, and if we're going to do one, it would be the fall rather than the spring.
I concur with those comments. I think there's merit to seeing, we've allocated dollars for different projects, to see what those dollars have done in improvements and for future improvements that will be brought forward for council's consideration. Councillor Miltenberg and then Councillor Forster, please.
Two comments. First of all, I don't even necessarily would go with its merit. I would say it's our job. We spend millions of dollars telling staff to do things, and then somebody needs to look and make sure it's done. That would be my comment. Somebody needs to drive around and do that. Secondly, speaking for myself as a member of council and the pictures, clearly, when it's just written word, I have a hard time visualizing it. And when I see it, I'm like, okay, that's what he's talking about. Like, I know what a tub grinder is on a farm. I never had any imagination that conveyor thing was a tub grinder. That's a small thing. But when you're talking about spending millions on paving roads and you want to explain why, words are not enough and the pictures help. But for me to get out and say, okay, I understand where we are now, and you can say south, and I don't know if you saw me, but I had to visually orient myself and try to figure out what side of the wall you were talking about. That may be my special talent or the lack of it, but for me, I have to see things to understand them. So even me driving around on the roads doesn't help, because I'd be staring at it going, what am I looking at here? I'm in the right place, you know? So for me, it's of value. And I would suggest that I'm free Monday and Thursday.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Bill's thoughts aren't that bad of it. The amount of road issues we had this spring, maybe we all need to see that firsthand. Maybe they're all good now. That's just my thoughts. I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are on that, but it is, I do agree with Bill.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, if we were going to have, okay, I guess we better do this in two steps. The first would be, I'm going to ask council if we see the merit, and you say responsibility, of having a fall road tour. That would be the first thing. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
I think maybe with Wayne's comment, I'd like to add to my comment. I do think that it's our responsibility. I don't necessarily think it needs to be done every year. Maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I do think with the amount of people that were in our council chambers all spring, to choose this as the year that we're not going to look at the roads is a really bad visual, if not anything else. We should care about those roads and we should look at them, and I would like West Wawanosh in the road tour, specifically the roads that get all the comments, all of them. That's my comment.
Okay, I'm going to ask for show of hand. Okay, now Councillor Forster, please.
That's not what I meant. Like, it's springtime. We have the issues with these roads. Like, go see them when they're bad. Like, and see the other stuff too. Like, I don't think we need to make 2 trips, but I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are on that. But that's my thoughts.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Forster. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
So I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. We should look at the roads, but we should look at them at a different time of year. Would it be, and this is me not knowing anything about roads, we had all the comments, you're talking about shouldering. Would it be of value, because we had a pilot project to try one of the roads. Would it be of value to look at it in the fall for Tom to say, this is what the problem was on this road, this is what we did, we're going to monitor it, so we go through the roads and say, this was the complaint and this is what we did, rather than next year having the problem and us saying, well, he said he fixed it, you know, but we trust, and I'm not saying he didn't, Tom. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, this is like a follow-up to, you were supposed to fix it this year. You said we did, you did. Shouldn't we check? And I trust you, Tom. I don't mean it that way.
Okay, CO, please.
This isn't about micromanaging, so this has nothing to do with micromanaging. I know you said check to make sure the work is being done, it's through the budget, but I think council just needs to decide, do they want to have one this fall? Great, let's set it. If not, we can wait till the spring.
Correct. So I'm, Deputy Mayor, please.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, like, I'm thankful Wayne understood, because, like, we go out in the fall, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy the trip, and I like to see what we've done and everything else, but when we go out in the fall, everything is done and it's pristine, where in the spring, it's not. It's, the winters beat the hell out of our roads and all this other stuff, and we could see at that point in time, all right, which roads are really giving us problems and which one we need to, but I'm good with either time. So if we want to see what's been done, that's great, we go now. If we want to see what needs to be done, we go in the spring. So, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Thank you for your forbearance. So yeah, I totally misunderstood you. You're not saying no road tour, you're saying we should be doing it in the spring instead, because we'd have a better idea of what we're talking about. Is that what I'm hearing, Bill?
If I
Yeah,
may,
definitely,
if I may, Mr. Mayor, I think we should see, like, as I said, like, we're gonna go through here in the fall, and everything's done, and they've done a great job, and they've got everything in good shape, so it's gonna look very nice. Where in the spring, we're gonna see the potholes, and we're gonna see the water laying on the roads, and we're gonna see all the bad stuff, and then we'll know what our people are complaining about. So that's all I was saying, but if everybody wants to go in the fall, I'm good with the fall.
I guess I'm going to make a comment on this, and that's the benefit of a fall road tour is that we are aware of situations when Tom brings it forward in the budget for at budget time. If we wait until spring, it's past budget time for consideration. So I think there is merit in the fall road tour. Councillor Hickey, please.
And that was the comment I was going to make, Mr. Mayor. Like, we're already through the budget at that point. We've already assigned our money for spring tour, and we have an election next year, so it's not like we could carry it over who could be around the table after that election. It might work a spring tour earlier on in a term, but I think the last year of of council term, it has to be a fall if it is at all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That CAO echoed that. So I'm going to first ask for a show of hands if we are in support of a fall road tour. Opposed? And that's supported by council. Second is a date. And for, just put it out there, I'll suggest either the Monday, the 20th, or the 27th of October. Is anyone available on those two dates? Councillor Miltenberg, please.
I'm not available at all the third week. I thought the email said the last week.
Yes,
I'm
that
out
would
of
be
town the third week.
That would be the 27th.
Right. So I'm available the 27th of the final week.
Is other members of council available on Monday, October 27th?
Yep.
Councillor Snoblin is not. An alternative date, what would anyone suggest?
Thursday?
No.
Right around on the 24th, Fridays, usually Fridays and Mondays are the least 2 days. I know Friday isn't a great day, but it's,
I'm not.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councillor Miltenberg, I'm not.
Okay. I volunteer at Brookside every Friday morning. I could move it. Prefer not to, obviously. Less work for me, but
I'm sorry. The CEO, you said, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, so Councillor Miltenberg is not available the 27th. I'm sorry? Or Snoblin, yes, Councillor Snoblin is not available the 27th.
If I may, I can just let council know that I am not available after council meeting on the 21st. I'll be away for a number of weeks. So I could make it either the 17th or the 20th. But don't work around me because it's too difficult to do that. You set the time when you think it's best for you.
So for clarification, you're not available on the 20th either?
I am available on the 20th, starting
Okay.
the 21st, and I will be heading out of country shortly after that.
Okay. The 20th, can you make that work or not, Councillor Miltenberg?
yes.
Okay, is everyone available on Monday, October 20th? Okay, Tom, can that work for you?
We'll have to confirm the booking of the bus, though, we'll have to make sure.
Correct. So we'll set the date for the 20th of October if staff can book a bus for that. And it would be leaving at 9 a.m. from the parking lot here. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Just a request that if it can go, can staff let me know right away, and then I'll change some of my commitments. Thank you.
So CAO, you can,
Tom will look after the bus and we will confirm.
okay. So we'll set it for the 20th, Monday the 20th, and staff will communicate with us as soon as they know whether that can work or not. Tom, please.
Absolutely, I'll call after the meeting.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, we'll just hold that in our calendars if you could, please. And we'll receive confirmation from staff on the bus. Okay, thank you. Committee reports. Do any members of council have any committee reports that they would like to share at this time? Councillor Hickey would be first, please.
Thank you. Just one small note from my Maitland Valley Conservation Authority meeting we had there a week or two ago. It's finally public knowledge. It's been talked about for a little while. Phil Beard is retiring after 46 years at Maitland Valley as the general manager. July 3rd, 2026 is his last day. Thank you.
Well, he's certainly done a great job. Tremendous career. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
I had several meetings that will be reported with minutes later on, so I'm not going to speak to them. They were the Lucknow Joint Wreck, the Balls Bridge, and Economic Development. The one I will speak to is our short-term rental, which had an open house in the lower hall of Kingsbridge Center. I thought staff did a spectacular job organizing it. It was really well done. They even had the signs outside, and I mentioned that because there was another rental later in the week and they didn't have the signs outside, and they're like, how are people gonna know? I'm like, I saw this earlier in the week. Let me find you some sandwich boards. So I thought it was laid out really well. I was pleased with the attendance. I'm not sure if everyone else was, but I thought it went really well. So kudos to the staff.
Absolutely. That was well executed and really good. Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, this isn't really a committee. I attended the Lucknow firefighters breakfast at the fair there. All the money went to that. The drone, I don't know if they've got one yet, but well put on and busier than it was last year. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Snoblin, please.
September 10th, I attended the Community Safety and Wellbeing meeting, and we are in the process of going into a brainstorming session in mid-November, where they'll bring all the community partners together to try to put some mandates forward and some direction forward to the committee for going forward in the 2026 to 2029 direction.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Anything additional? Since our last meeting, amongst other meetings, I did attend the Coastal Hazards Municipal Leaders meeting, and that is so important to ACW because of our 50 kilometers of shoreline that we have from Amberley down to the Maitland River, and the great work that they're doing on a variety of fronts. One, realizing the issue, the concern, and how to mitigate it and to deal with it to the best of their ability. And it's very important to ACW, our shoreline. The Lucknow Fair opening, it was a great attendance at it. Kelly was one of the judges with the ambassadors. We had lots of participation from young people in our municipality. Great attendance, more than there has been in the past. And the Fair Board, the directors, deserve a lot of credit because they have had a change in membership and they are embracing new things at the fair. There was wrestling this year, and that attracted more interest of people to attend to see it, and especially young people, and that's what it's all about. So I brought greetings on behalf of ACW at that, and it was a great opening. And Councillor Miltenberg covered the STR, so I think we're good on that. Is there anything under new business that anyone would like to bring forward to a future meeting? Seeing none, we have no correspondence for direction, and there is items of correspondence for information. Is there anything that anyone would like to address under correspondence for information? Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, I'd like to attend the Roma conference, item 16.3.
Thank you for that. Councillor Snoblin?
In addition to Councillor Miltenberg, I'd like to attend the Roma conference as well. I also have some questions on 16.1, the ECDEV. Just going to my notes here. 4.3 on the minutes. The topic is skilled trades programming with GDCI update. And it suggested that a meeting was coordinated with the superintendent of education at Brookside, the principal at GDCI, and the OEAP recruiter, as well as our deputy clerk, as well as Councillor Miltenberg, to discuss opportunities for engaging Brookside students in skilled trades programming. And the preliminary ideas included a junior Viking Tech Day for students in grades 6, 7, and 8. My question is, was there consideration given to including the Catholic School Board in those discussions and going forward with other schools, particularly Catholic schools, that capture students within ACW other than Brookside?
Okay, thank you for the question. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yes, Anita, there was consideration. This is stemming from a couple years ago. We reached out, and because Brookside is in the Avon-Maitland School Board, they were the low-hanging fruit, the easy fruit. We did speak about reaching out to St. Anne's because they do have a high skills major with the wind that the Avon-Maitland District School Board does not have accessible to students. As an update, which I have a note to talk to Kelly afterwards, I did, not on purpose, I volunteer at Brookside. The superintendent of education was there that day in the office with the brand-new principal, and we did have a conversation, and I'm not sure if Jody Kern, who is supposed to have reached out, he was, the superintendent was surprised that I hadn't heard about it yet. So Kelly and I are going to be working on that after the meeting. But because Brookside is in the public school board, that's the one we're starting with. It's easier, but I definitely mentioned the Catholic school board.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Snowblin, please.
Well, I applaud your efforts, Councillor Miltenberg, and I fully support what you're doing, you know, in terms of engaging students, particularly in the tech and including the superintendent of education, the principal, the OEAC coordinator, etc. But I do believe that if we're going to do this, we have to be equal in addressing this and offering this to our Catholic students who primarily attend, I believe, St. Mary's School in Goderich, as well as St. Anne's in Clinton. I think it is unfair that we only do this as a low-hanging fruit because there is a perceived inequitable situation here. And I'm not certain that this committee should be going forward with that without, you know, at least promoting it, addressing it, and discussing it with the superintendent of education that represents the Huron-Perth Catholic Board. So I wouldn't endorse this going forward any further until those actions have taken place.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
I echo your comments. However, the reality of it is different. So when we talked about the Junior Viking Day, those actually don't exist anymore for insurance reasons. So I talked about could St. Mary's come over to the junior, but it doesn't exist at all. And what we've been told is that they have limited resources, less budget, and there has to be local champions who are trying to get things in the schools for them to respond at an elementary level, which is where we've started because that is physically a building that we have and a personal connection. I'm not sure if he's retired. I used to know the superintendent of education quite well for the Huron-Perth Catholic District School Board, as well as I was the parent rep for the Huron-Perth Catholic District School Board for a number of years. So I think it is not correct to stop one side because the other side doesn't have it, but I am very supportive of your comments, and I would suggest we could outreach to, rather than just St. Anne's to principal, we could go right to the principal, which I believe changed last year at St. Mary's, and pretty sure the superintendent retired last year too. It's all about knowing who they are.
Okay, thank you for that. Clerk, please.
I'll just clarify, the superintendent of education is Sean McDade.
I do know him.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Snowblin, please.
I would suggest then that the committee that you are on with that GEV further pursue relationships with the Huron-Perth Catholic District School Board. I think it's fairly easy to find out who the contact people are. I don't think it's an onerous task, and I'm sure staff would be able to help you with that. And I will mention that I bring this up because this kind of really sparked something in me when I was reading the agenda over the weekend. So a few times over the course of my term as council member, I have asked council to, you know, maybe look at having something in the grade schools in, say, grade 5, 6, wherever it is that they start looking at civics and politics and so on, wherever that is. And I suggested that we have students come in to come in and have be part of the council meeting and have a mayor of the day as one of the students be mayor of the day and council members, would mentor a student at our stations here in the council meeting, just to further engage students in, what civics is all about and what we do here as a council. And further to that, engaging students means that you engage parents. And that is a way that we can open up communications. And this is part of what our mission statement is as our council, is to extend communications, make sure that. So I always saw that that was a win. And I brought it up, I believe, twice, possibly 3 times over the course of 7 years. And each time it was suggested that we couldn't do it with just Brookside, that we'd have to do it with the Catholics, and then we'd have to do it with the high schools, and then we'd have to do it into here in Kinloss, and it was just going to be such an onerous task. So if we had to be equitable then, why aren't we being equitable now? So that is where I'm coming from on this. So if we're going to stick with just the public board on this, then we have to go back and look at our comments that were made over the course of 7 years as to why we can't just engage a couple of students to come in and be mayor and council for a day.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Councillor Milberg, please.
Okay, so I think if everyone else doesn't know, I'm quite Catholic. So I am not deliberately engaging with the public school board. I'm engaging with the people who answer the emails and the people that I can, for example, Kingsbridge offered to bus Brookside over several years in a row, and we would pay everything. It wasn't until I walked in the doors and talked to the principal and said, can we do this? And I talked to the teacher. And that may be one of the reasons I now volunteer at Brookside and have for a couple years. We tried to get this project that you see last year, but it was a retiring principal. So we're back again, starting at the very beginning. So it's not onerous to find the names. It's sometimes onerous to find someone who's engaged, and we'll do that little bit of extra work for them, even if we're offering to do all the work and pay for it. We don't meet again as an economic development committee till the new year, but I would suggest that based on these comments, we could flesh out what staff has been given direction to reach out to several different initiatives in the meantime. And I have no problem. I'm not the chair of that committee. Glenn McNeil is. I am on that committee. And I'm sorry if I'm stepping over all you're talking there because I'm not the chair. Sorry, I forgot about that. Sometimes I get mixed up and sit in the wrong chair. But I think those are valid points. And I also personally know people at St. Mary's that I can walk in the door and try to get relations. But that sounds worse than I meant it. Try to put a face to the initiative that we're trying to start. And I certainly know Sean McDade. But having said that, there has to be local championships at lower levels. And like I said, it's deliberately not non-Catholic. They are the people who are answering their emails and are responding to someone in their face going, we're still trying. And the civics thing, I went into that principal right after the last election and said, we'd really like to do this initiative because I was volunteering in the school. And she said, oh, that's a great idea. And then she retired. So we're starting over again. But I'm trying to get a meeting scheduled just myself with the principal, the brand new principal at Brookside to say, can we talk about what you need to help and how we can help you? We are desperately trying to form a partnership and not getting very much traction. And I can look to see who's the principal or at St. Mary's. Does anyone know who that is offhand? There's a good chance. That one I don't know, but I do know people there. But it requires a personal touch.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Snowden and then Councillor Hickey, please.
Although I appreciate your efforts, and I know that you do know a lot of people, many of us around the council know a lot of people in the education system, I'm not certain that it's up to one particular council member to go to those lengths. I think if that's the case, then we direct staff to make those contacts to see if there's interest in it. I'm a little bit leery about having one counselor, and it doesn't matter which counselor. I'm a little bit leery about having a counselor going out and making these connections without other council members knowing ahead of time of these things that are kind of happening in back rooms. I think that it needs to come, full disclosure at a council table, and then have council make the decision. Do we direct Councillor Miltenberg, or do we direct Councillor Snobelin to go ahead and make those connections, or do we direct staff to go ahead and make those connections? I just want to make sure that everybody stays in their own lane, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, thank you for that.
I was given direction by the committee that I was on to do that, because I said, I know them anyway, would you like me to mention it? But when the superintendent said, I'm surprised you didn't hear about it, I said, staff should be the one that's notified, that's not me, and I will check with Kelly. So.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Okay, and Councillor Hickey, please.
Thank you. Just a quick comment about this topic. If we're going to be fair and equal and make sure all are covered in the township, the north half of West Wawanosh, north of Belgrave Road for the Catholic goes to Sacred Heart, and there's a corner over in my side of the township that goes to St. Joe's and Clinton. So there's actually 2 more schools that should be talked about if we're looking to be equal across all township. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Clerk, please.
I'm going to suggest that this is a conversation that will need to get elaborated on at the Economic Development Committee. I think it's well pointed. I think the conversation has started around including that, but I think the point hammered here is that it needs to be addressed a little bit more strongly. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yep, and Clerk, Deputy Mayor, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first of all, I think trades are a big thing to get back into the schools. They really need that. But secondly, when Anita says bringing up and getting the children involved, that used to happen. We used to have pages, and each member could bring a page. You had to, make not a reservation, but, had to have staff on board. That you were going to bring a page to one of the meetings, and that was very beneficial to the kids because they got to see how a council operated, and it was one of the councilors. So say Mr. Hickey, he could bring somebody in from the northern part of the thing. Anita could bring somebody in from, and everybody came from a different area. And now, granted, you only got, say, 10 or 12 in a year, but it was a good thing for the kids. So I think if we did that, we should send out a letter because I know the county doesn't have pages anymore, which I think they should have. It's good for the kids. So we could send a letter out and ask if that we could bring that back.
Okay, thank you for that discussion. Anything further? Councillor Hickey, please.
Just on 16.3, if I can be signed up for Roma, please.
Thank you for that, and I would also like to attend the Roma conference, be registered for that. Any additional questions or comments on our correspondence for information purposes? And if not, there is nothing under unfinished business or upcoming events, so we'll move on to our bylaws, and the first would be the bylaw concerning the Salford Estates removal of the holding symbol, and I will entertain a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Forrester and Miltenberg. The leave be given to introduce bylaw number 57-2025, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 32-2008 as amended for the Township of Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh, and that it now be read severally a first, second, and third time, and finally passed the 7th day of October 2025. All in favor of the motion is read. And that is carried. The second bylaw is the appointment of winter students, and I will entertain a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Hickey moves, Councillor Miltenberg seconds, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 58-2025, being a bylaw to appoint winter positions for the Lucknow and District Joint Recreation Board, and that now be read severally, a first, second, and third time, and finally passed the 7th day of October 2025. All in favor of the motion? And that is carried. We do have a closed session today, and I will entertain a mover and a seconder to move into our closed session. Deputy Mayor Van Stone and Councillor Snoblin seconds that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council move into a closed session in accordance with Section 239 in brackets 2 in brackets B of the Municipal Act, with the CAO clerk and Public Works Superintendent remaining in attendance at 10:23 a.m. for the purpose of discussing personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. All in favor of the motion? And that is carried. Howbeit, we have a break for 7 minutes until 10:30 to allow our staff to secure the meeting Thank you very much to all members of the public for your attendance, and we are now in recess, and we'll resume Okay, we're now back in our open session, and I will call on our clerk for reporting out of her closed session, please.
There is nothing to report.
Thank you for that. We do have a confirmatory bylaw, and I will entertain a mover and a seconder for this, please. And that is Councillor Miltenberg and Forrester, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 59-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Township of Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Council meeting held on the October 7th, 2025, and that it now be read severally, a first, second, and third time, and finally pass the 7th day of October 2025. All in favor of the motion as read. And that is carried. And I will entertain a mover and a seconder for adjournment, please. And that is Councillor Hickey and Deputy Mayor Vanstone, that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council does now adjourn to meet again on the 21st day of October at 9 a.m. or at the call of the mayor. All in favor of this motion. And that is carried. Thank you very much to all for your thoughtful comments and input today. Meeting is adjourned.